From my experience, the development of writing skills in the language classroom is rather challenging. The explanation is simple. There's little time at our disposal, whereas high quality writing requires a lot of mental effort to be put in the process, which definitely takes a lot of time. As a result, the whole lesson might not be enough to create a well-thought, coherent and cohesive piece of writing. Yet, there are ways of designing our lessons in such a way as to make the development of our students' writing skills our primary focus. Here's another example. This time I'd like to show how we could help our students deconstruct the process of writing step by step so that they can use it in their own process of writing. I'd like to emphasize that although our primary focus is on writing skills development, we shall do our best to integrate all the basic skills alongside the 4 C's. When it comes to making students write at the lesson, it's crucial to have the students prepared for the task. What I mean is that they should be familiar with the topic they are going to deal with. Simply put, you've already covered the topic and the lesson targets the reinforcement of the learned vocabulary. For example, you might consider having such a writing lesson somewhere closer to the end of a unit in the course book you work with in your classroom. Here's my example. Begin the lesson by allotting 10 minutes to writing. Challenge the students to write an article, let's say, on unusual Christmas traditions in the US. Make sure the instructions are clear and that the students understand what their writing should be about. The mode of the work is individual. When the time is up, ask the students to stop. Explain that they will have time to get back to their writing later on. Get the students to work in small groups and give the instructions to the second activity. Ask them to describe the steps they take to write an article and share them with the rest of the class in 5 minutes' time. The purpose is to help them raise the awareness of the complexity of the writing process. It's a good way to prepare them for the introduction of the actual stages of the process approach to writing, which will happen while doing the third activity. The third activity will combine 2 modes of work, class work and group work. First, introduce the names of the 5 stages. Then present each stage separately. Begin with the pre-writing stage and invite students to come with their variants before giving them the answers. For example, ask them first what questions they think they should ask themselves at this stage, and then introduce the questions. Emphasize the idea that the pre-writing stage is the brainstorming stage, and all the ideas are accepted here. It is also important to know that at this stage they aren't expected to come up with full sentences. They can put down a phrase or even a word. Show them the examples you've come up with. It is at this stage that the distinction between opinions and facts is made. It's true that in an article they can express their own opinion, yet their opinion should be based on concrete facts. Challenge them to distinguish facts from opinions in the examples you've shown. Discuss the danger of generalizations. Encourage them to use tentative language when appropriate. Apply the same strategy to explain the second stage. Encourage them to think of the potential questions to ask themselves first and then show them the actual questions. Each group should work with your draft, and by answering the questions, they should make the necessary changes. Discuss the results together. For example, it is clear that first and the last paragraphs in your draft should change their places. Draw the attention that this is still the drafting stage and that the spelling mistakes are not considered yet. Go to the third stage. After having presented the questions, give the students time to revise each paragraph and come up with their variants. Discuss what changes have been made and why they were necessary. Show how sentences change their complexity. The fourth stage is the proofreading stage. Show the questions and give them the final variant of your writing. It might be a good idea to purposefully include some spelling or punctuation mistakes in your sample in order to help them become more aware of the importance of this stage. Finally, give them the last variant, which is supposed to be submitted. Tell them that the last stage is not as much about asking themselves certain questions as reassuring themselves that they did their best to produce their piece of writing. I, for instance, like Theodore Roosevelt's quote, "Do what you can with what you've got where you are." I encourage the students to make this affirmation. I did what I can with what I've got where I am. Now the students are ready to get back to the pieces of writing they produced at the very beginning of the lesson and rewrite them applying the principles of process approach to their writing. It is crucial for them to understand that writing is a skill that can be developed and improved by systematic and consistent practice, which can involve rather tedious revision and rewriting. Another suggestion that can be made here is to encourage the students to keep their variants of writing in their portfolios so that they can track their own progress. This can help them take more responsibility for their own learning, that is, develop their learning autonomy.